Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the palatial studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Irvine, California. Joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance are my guests for this evening, Mary Kay Savarese. Am I saying that right?
Savarese, but
Savarese.
you're
Okay,
close.
that was pretty
Yes,
close. And
yes.
Randy Bowslaugh. How you doing, you two?
Hello. Fabulous.
Fabulous, fabulous in Canada. Now I just learned you're in Canada, Randy. Are you from Canada or did you move there?
Oh no, born and
Ah,
raised.
okay. So you know how to spell Canada.
You
C
hope.
A N A D A.
Exactly.
Eh?
Right? I don't say A as much as most Canadians because I'm so close to the Buffalo
Ah,
border that we have our own weird dialect that we mush together, Canadian and American.
Right. So, Randy, you and I are on the same time slot, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay. For us, it's 10
yep.
p.m., 10:01.
Which is why I have some Starbucks for caffeine because
Okay.
this is normally when I go to night night.
Okay, I should have brought some wine, but that's okay.
If I known that was what we were gonna do.
Hey, we're free and easy here on Not Quite After Midnight. Actually, what's funny is when I first started the show 2 years ago today. Um, yes,
Oh,
2 year anniversary. Thank you very much.
congratulations.
Um, I actually did broadcast at 10 p.m. Pacific time. So
Oh,
Uh,
I might have had to
yeah,
pass. I
yeah,
don't know if I could have stayed up that late.
yeah, that would have been tough for us Easterners.
yeah,
So,
yeah. When I started using radioguestlist.com, I started getting more interest from people in other parts of the world, so including the East
Yes.
Coast of the U.S. I've had to do some
Yep.
special shows for people in other locations. Had one guest from Finland who was 10 hours ahead. So yeah, I had to do.
Wow.
That's how the very special episodes started. So
Okay. I like it.
so
I like it.
but yeah. So it's great to have you both on the show. Let's start with introductions. Randy, since you're on my screen right now, it switches depending on who talked last. Um,
Makes sense.
okay.
Tell us what you do.
I write
You write
stuff.
stuff,
And
and you have a YouTube show.
I have a YouTube show. So that's where I met Mary before. I interviewed her
Oh
on my
wow,
show last year.
Yes.
So it was fun. But yeah, so I'm an author. I've written a bunch of books, a lot of stuff about mental health, but I'm also dabbling with children and scary
cool.
stories. Um, my YouTube show, it's called The Write or Die Show. We talk
Okay,
about mental health. Um, I mean, I could talk about myself for a long time, so I'm
well that's
trying
good.
to keep it
We've
short
got
for you.
2 hours, so
Oh, we will keep you busy.
We got a lot to talk about.
so Mary, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. And Randy, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. Randy was one of my first interviewers last year, and we did speak about mental health. And I remember that I had given you one of the terms that I had been using dealing with some mental health issues. Biatch, remember that
Yes.
term?
Oh
And
yeah.
you were so excited about that term back then.
Yeah.
But yep, just to thank you for
My
having me,
pleasure.
Bill. And I am a traditionally published author, and I love to write in fantasy, and I love to write with quirky titles. I'm an overnight success, a 10-year overnight success. It was such a goal of mine to be traditionally published that it took one rejection after another, but I stuck with it, and here I am. I have two books now. My first book was traditionally published a little over 2 years ago, and at the end of this year, my second book, the first of a trilogy, was published, and I'm currently editing the second book in the trilogy with my new
Wow.
publishing house. So here we sit with you today.
Wow. Yeah. I found out last night that a friend of mine, because of the promotions for tonight's show, went and joined a bunch of tiger-based Facebook groups, and now her Facebook
Oh,
feed is filled with pictures of tigers. She
That's
didn't
awesome.
say if any of them were in
such
bubble
beautiful
baths though.
creatures.
I guess I should have asked.
Well, now you will
I
remember
will
to do
remember
so.
to do so.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the tigers in the bubble baths?
Well, as I said, Bill and Randy, I love to write with quirky titles. So my fourth manuscript, titled Tigers Love, Bubble Baths, and Obsession Perfume, who knew? I was introduced several years ago to a wildlife reserve in St. Augustine, Florida. And the end of the tour, I had come to this vat overflowing with bubbles. And I don't mean a little vat. I'm talking a vat that was 16 feet wide, 5 feet tall. And I'm standing there and I'm wondering, okay, what's going on? And out walks this beautiful, gorgeous 600-pound Siberian tiger. I'm behind with maybe another dozen people behind a small, what you would call, not even cage, like a fence. And out walks this beautiful tiger on a plank, looks as though he's taking off a rope and slips into this bubble bath. And the wildlife handler sprayed Obsession perfume on his tongue, and he lapped it up like a cocktail. And I said to myself, that is the title of my next novel. And I wrote a mystery romance intertwined with supernatural, or you can call it the spiritual. And I wrote a novel around that title. I just love to write with quirky titles.
I remember that story because
Yes.
I had to ask you too. Yep.
Well, at least there's always something to start off the conversation with.
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
yes. And people love to hear about tigers and bubble baths because you don't believe it's true, but they can sit in a bubble bath all day. They absolutely love it. And Obsession perfume, they're obsessed with it.
Who knew?
Ooh,
Who knew?
jinx.
Oh, wow. Well, Randy, tell us the title of one of your books.
Let's
What are you
see.
promoting right now?
What am I promoting right now? My mind went blank because it's nighttime. So Embracing Me is the one that I'm big time promoting right now because it's
Okay.
mental health. So it's not quite as fun or quirky as the title. I'm sorry it doesn't have any tigers in it either. I had to follow you, eh? So it's the story of my own journey with depression, the coping strategies that I found, ways to help try and talk to each other and to embrace ourselves, hence the title. So it's really about embracing every aspect about what you are. And I always like to say, I have depression. Depression doesn't have me because it's only a little bitty part of who I am. But sometimes it likes to pretend like it's a lot
Right.
bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Randy's so important, so important to bring it out into focus and into the world. I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I get it. I struggle against the major depression as well, and yeah, I like that. It doesn't have me. I have it.
Yeah. That's my kind of go-to saying when I have to like remind myself on those real bad
Mhm.
days, and I'm like, okay, this is not everything about me. I can get
Right.
up and do stuff.
Come on, I got a show to do. That's
Exactly,
right.
right? Like I don't have time to sit here and eat my tub of ice cream, even though it sounds delicious.
It always helps, every little bit of ice cream.
Oh. Except when the pounds come on because you're an emotional
Yeah.
eater. And
Yeah,
there's a
I
problem.
hear you there. I hear you there.
It's a lot easier now because I can't have dairy and I can't have almonds and I can't have So like my ice cream's really expensive because it's like special.
I bet it's fabulous.
Oh, it does taste really good.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I've tried giving up dairy. I don't have to give up any particular foods, but I've tried giving up dairy, and it just doesn't work very well.
If I didn't have to, I definitely wouldn't. I miss yogurt, ice cream, cheese.
Cheese is
Yeah.
good.
Cheese is good. Now I'm dreaming of
Uh-oh.
cheese. Grilled cheese. Grilled cheese with
Oh,
tomato
yeah.
soup.
The classic. Uh-oh.
Now I'm hungry.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I'm going to have a sip of my Coke.
A little wine, a little ice cream sounds good.
I don't like you to anymore. Now I want to go out and eat some stuff that I'm not supposed to.
Oh, goodness. Um, so let's see. So, how'd you get into writing? Whichever one of you wants to chime in first.
I'll chime in first because I had to follow you last time and I can't beat tigers and bubble baths. So I'll start and then you have to follow me.
Sounds good. Love it.
So I've been writing pretty much my whole life. When I was little, I used to write a household newspaper. And I'd make my mom read it about all the things going on in the house from, like a 8-year-old's perspective. So what my dolls did, what movie I watched, how the superheroes beat the bad guy. And then I'd write like little plays and stuff and force my little cousins to act them out with me and like little puppet plays and stuff. Um, they just loved me so much, so much. But I would say I really, really got into it as a teenager. I was writing a lot of poetry. So that was my coping strategy when I first
Okay.
had depression. And then in 2017, I had another really bad bout with it. And somebody died. I don't know if it was my grandma or my husband's grandma, but one of them had passed away. And I don't know why. When somebody dies, we clean our
Okay.
basement. They don't live with us, so it's not like we're cleaning their stuff out, but we clean our basement. Anyways, and I found all of those poems that I had written as a teenager, and I was like, oh, I don't want to throw them out, but I don't want them to sit in my basement. What am I gonna do? And then I hid in a blanket fort because I was super depressed. I hid in a blanket fort in my bedroom. It's kind of like a do not disturb. And I put them all together and published my first book that year. And then I had so much fun doing it. I was like, I want to do it again and again and again and again. And like 10 something, 12 books later,
Here we are.
here I am.
It's
Wow.
amazing.
Thanks.
A lot of books.
Yeah. Well, kids' books are easier to write. So like they kind of bump up my numbers. I only have, I have three, no, I have 4 longer books because I have 3 nonfiction books and 1 collection of short, scary stories. So 4 of them are novels, and then the rest are like kids' books or self-care journals. I got some of those now too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Self-care journal. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's called Be
Okay.
Selfish because you need to be selfish to take care of yourself. And sometimes we're like, we love to take care of everybody else first, especially moms. Not that dads can't, but like moms have this weird ingrained must take care of everyone but myself mode. Then we burn out and hide in blanket forts with wine and ice cream.
Yes.
And that's bad news bears. And so we need to take care of ourselves, even if we're only doing like 5 minutes. So when I came up with that book specifically, I was like, I wanted something that was different. I didn't just want like a journal. I wanted something that you could journal, but maybe there's something else that's a little more fun, depending on what you want to do that day. So there's actually, I did it as 7 sections, one for every day of the week, and 52 things in each section. So it's literally a journal for the
Wow.
entire year. And so if you're like, yeah, Mondays, I can give myself an hour to journal. And it doesn't always have to be the same day, but the I'm giving myself an hour to journal. So you pick one of the journal pages and you do it. And then you're like, oh, Tuesday, I'm so busy at work. I just have time for like a 5-minute crossword. Cool. Go to that section, do a crossword. And then there's also 15-minute exercises, super easy recipes because I hate cooking. Coloring pages, challenges, like just different stuff because I wanted something unique. I wanted something that wasn't just like a journal and then you also have to have a coloring book and then you also have to have an exercise book and then you also have to have like that's a lot. So I want to put
Okay.
it all together.
Cool. That's that's pretty clever. Okay.
Thanks.
Now, Mary, follow that.
Yes, now that's going to be hard to follow Randy. She's amazing. Well, let me see. I followed a traditional route. Had gotten a degree in finance and accounting. Worked within that field. Got married. Raised a couple of kids. And my journey's a long one because I always had these ideas in the back of my head. But as you said it perfectly, Randy, we take care of everybody but ourselves. So everything kept going. Those ideas, wanting to write, just went on the back burner, went on the back burner. And when my oldest went off to college, I finally said, hey, I'll have a little bit of time here. And I did start to write. And the first thing you have to do is like, I'd love to read, I've taken classes, but you need to prove to yourself that you can actually write. And I don't mean one page. We're talking when, as writers, we say 90,000 words. Well, 90,000 words equates to about 330 pages or so, right? So that was my first jumping into the whole world of writing. And of course, after I've completed that, it took me a year to write my first manuscript. And again, I write with very quirky titles. But then we were talking about snail mail, and this is a little bit over 10 years ago. Snail mail. And back then, at least publishers were willing to take a look at your work, critique it. Times have changed quite a bit. And the ability to self-publish and to self-publish beautifully and other avenues were not available then. So I struggled with the rejection after rejection after rejection. And I think one of our conversations last year, Randy, again, it was the mental health. And as my third child was completing her college, I fell into that anxiety, such an anxiety that my limbs, my legs were starting to become numb. And I actually thought I was dealing with some type of health issue. And what I had to do was come to terms with that my family unit was dead. And it's such a weird thing to say, but as you said, Randy, so beautifully, we take care of everybody but ourselves, and we're supposed to be able to do everything. So, yeah, it was wonderful to find help. And I'm happy to talk about this today because I can say for me, it's been a wonderful learning journey, and I'm on the other side of the bridge now. And my writing was such a big help to me. It really got me through those most difficult days because as writers, we realize, and you all know this, that as you concentrate on that in front of you, what happens? Your mind just focuses on that, and it just helps with quite a bit, because we can become our worst enemies, right? So,
Oh, we so are. We
yeah,
are totally our
yeah,
worst critics. Everybody, not just writers.
yeah. But I think women, we're even tougher on ourselves.
Because,
You know,
yeah, like you said it, we feel like we have to do it all,
yes.
right? We
And,
don't.
right.
We
And
really
we're
don't.
embarrassed. And we're embarrassed when we can't. Like, why
Yeah.
can't we handle that? So,
Right? You have to be superwoman. Well, even society, every like TV show and books and stuff, they throw it at us where women have to raise the family and they have to cook dinner and they have to take care of the house and they have to also have a job too, of course, right? We have to literally do everything. But the reality is we don't. And I think it's changing more now. Hope slowly, a little bit. At least where I am, I'm seeing a little bit more of a shift that women are starting to be like, no, I'm not going to do everything because I can't do everything. And I was stuck, same with you. Like I'm like, no, I have to do it all. And I talk about that in my book. I'm like, I have to do it all. And if I can't do it all, then what good am I? I'm just useless, which so
yeah.
isn't true.
And the other thing now is we're speaking about it, and we're
Yeah.
not embarrassed to speak about it. So, and I'm just like, what, maybe 5 years ago, I was dealing with this. And at that point, even 5 years ago, I was embarrassed to say anything to anybody. But that is changing. So I love that whole aspect of it with the mental health, where you shouldn't be embarrassed and you should get help. And if you need medication, take it, you know?
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason. Like, so my husband, he loves to go to make the comparison because he's diabetic, so he has insulin. And so he makes the comparison. So what? I should just stop taking my insulin because medication's bad? Well, no, then you'll die. He goes, so why don't you take your antidepressants? This was when I decided it was a good idea to go off of them without consulting a doctor.
Yeah.
And he was right. Like it doesn't make sense to not take medication if it helps, right? Everybody's different. Some people don't need it, some people do need it. If it helps, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it took me the help that I needed with therapy to help me come to the realization that, hey, I can handle this. I've gotten the tools, and these tools are so important. And sometimes you think, wow, they're simple, but they're really not, because you need to put the time into yourself and to work with these tools. And once I felt, hey, I feel strong enough, that's when I said, let me go back, talk to my doctor. And they said, fine, we'll wean you off. Weaning was like 9 months, not like maybe what you did, Randy. But they weaned me off of it so slowly that at that point I didn't even realize, but I had the necessary tools that I needed. And I still need it today. I mean, I don't care where we are in our lives, there's no cure. We are the cure. We have to work with ourselves and just be our promoters and say, hey, like you say, wake up every day, I can do this,
Yeah.
and keep going.
Yeah. And realize that it's okay when you have bad days. Like it's
Yeah.
okay when you wake up and you're like, I do not want to get up. I do not want to do it. But it's okay to feel like you don't want to do it.
Right.
Like
And
I have been this week. It's been a week.
I'm thinking of both of you because you are fabulous interviewers. But what happens when you have somebody, and there are times like my stomach is churning, I'm being ready to be interviewed, and I'm so nervous. And that is the one thing I always say to myself, you have to be a professional. You said you were going to be there, be there. What do you guys do when people just back out last minute? I always wonder about that.
So for me, it depends on the situation. Like if they just blatantly don't show up, I put a little red box around them on my spreadsheet because I'm not gonna deal with them again. If they send me an email and they're like, "Hey, family emergency," because stuff happens. Like I
Yeah.
get that. So if they message me and they're like, "Family emergency, so sorry." Most of the time, if they email me that, they're like, "If you don't want me to come back on the show, I get it, but if you're okay, then I'd love to reschedule." Usually, in that case, I'm like, "Yeah, reschedule. Life happens. Like I
Hmm.
totally get that." But yeah, the blatant ones that just don't show up are like, you're a red box now. What do you do, Bill?
Well, I have a no-show box on my spreadsheet,
Oh
and
yeah.
so far I've only had one blatantly just not show up.
Yeah, me
Um,
too, actually.
yeah, but I have had cancellations, and depending on how much time there is, then I have a couple of people who I can go to and say, "Hey, you want to be on the show tonight?" And they're like, "Yes,
Oh
absolutely." Or I have a couple of agents who on my list who I can say, "Hey, you got somebody who wants to be on the show tonight," and uh, and uh, and they'll usually come up with somebody. So
yeah. Yeah.
the other night had an accidental no show because of cross message kind of a thing that went on, and so I ended up doing a one person show, which isn't normal, but for me. But I like doing the mini roundtable kind of format that we got, where everybody's speaking with each other.
Hmm.
It's fun.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
gonna try it one day. Although my show is not 2 hours, so I'm not sure.
Well,
I'd have to have a longer episode.
I schedule 2 hours because there's two guests, but really I've only gone for 2 hours a couple of times. So
Okay.
I mean, I could talk for hours and hours. Sometimes you just gotta shut me up, though.
shut up.
That's why you have a show, Randy.
It's true. Well, when I was little, I was gonna be a famous actor. Um, and people would ask me why. They're like, "Oh, do you want to be rich and famous?" I'm like, "No, I just want to do everything. I don't want to pick one career." So I figured if I was an actor, then I could just be all of the careers. Um, and
Sure.
so having my own channel, I mean, it works now that I can just, I mean, granted, I'm still doing one thing because it's like kind of like a talk show. I would say these are talk shows, really.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so much fun because you're still meeting tons of different people. So I'm still not pigeonholed into one thing. I still
Right.
have like a general what we're going to talk about, but it's not one thing. So plus I still write and I still go on other people's shows and other stuff. So
Yeah.
No,
I
that's
get bored too easily.
yeah, it's good promotion for you guys to go on other podcasts, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
It's so much fun too. I love it. And sometimes it's nice to be able to be the guest and not have to like run the show. Not that that's not fun, but it's just different.
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, then I talk about myself more when I'm a guest. I don't really talk about myself when I'm the interviewer.
Right.
Um, talk about myself now though. So
Yes, you
remember,
can talk
guys,
about
come and
yourself.
buy my books.
That's right. Buy
Got to take
Randi-Lee
every
Bowslaugh's books.
right.
That's
Got
right.
to take every promotion you can. So
Yeah.
That's what I find is the hardest part about being, well, really being self-employed, but being an author, um, is marketing.
Yeah.
oh,
It's tough.
Randy and Bill marketing. Can I say it sucks?
It does.
So
I have
it's
other choice words, but yeah.
yeah, it's I spend my time writing, and that's what I love to do. But then the other half of my time has to be spent marketing. Now, I am with a traditional publisher, but it's a small publishing house owned by women, and they're fabulous. But they don't do much marketing for me. So
Hmm.
I work with a social media person, and I do marketing, and you're always promoting yourself. And after a while, it's like, oh my gosh, why is this so hard?
Right? It can be exhausting. The nice thing, for me anyways, because I have a very unique name too. And if when you Google my name, if somebody's like, if they either see me on a podcast or they see my podcast or they hear about like whatever, however they hear my name, if they Google me, they will find it all. I'm like first page Google. I think
Yep.
the first like 2 or 3 pages of Google. So it's great.
Not quite that bad, but yeah, I get that. Not quite after midnight's the first 2 results on a Google search for
There you
the
go.
show is, and then it goes off into not midnight and after midnight, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not what they asked for. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the first searches are anymore. Um it used to be all of the autism stuff that I've done. So my
Mhm.
kid has autism.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and then I found out I do too last year. What? Anyways,
Oh,
so when he was younger, we did a lot. Well, I did some organizing for a fundraiser for Autism Speaks Canada,
okay.
which is very separate from Autism Speaks America. I'm saying that because Autism Speaks America has some really bad press with
Okay.
it, and Canada's not as bad with theirs. So I wanted to say that. But anyways, and then we did a lot of fundraising. So my kid is now 15. We started fundraising when he was 9, for him to get a service dog because it costed $16,000. And I was like, okay, we'll do that. I could totally fundraise that money because if not, then you're on a wait list to hopefully maybe get one of the ones through the Lions Club. And I'm like, oh, we're not waiting for that. And so, yeah, we did that. And so I was like, newspapers and all that. So now, at first, when you would Google me, it would come up with all that stuff. Now I think it's more my show and my books and that kind
Okay.
of thing. But oh yeah, you go far enough back and you'll see newspaper articles about that, and my kickboxing newspaper articles and stuff I did in college. Like it's all in there. Never goes away.
It's a journey, right? So,
It's great.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, my niece has autism, and she's, I think, 16 or 17 now. So yeah,
Ugh, teenagers.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard enough being a teenager, and then you add on autism, and it's like, I understand why my mom had issues with me. Actually, I wasn't as bad as a teenager as I was as a kid. Whew. Feel bad for my mom. Actually, I don't anymore because so I don't know if people said this to you, Mary, when you were pregnant, but my mom used to go, well, when you have your baby, I hope they're just as bad as you were.
Oh
Or
yeah,
I
they
hope
all
they're
say
worse
that.
than you were. Yep. Well, my mom got exactly what she hoped for. My kid is so much worse than I was, just like attitude wise. And grandma has to babysit. And you wanted worse than me.
Ah,
Good luck.
Well,
um,
it's wonderful, Randy, that you're bringing autism to the forefront too with your writing and everything because it is so important.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really understand what it is. Like, um, sometimes when people find out that I have autism, they're like, "No, you don't look autistic," and I'm like,
there's an
"Thanks."
autistic look.
There is. Apparently, there is,
Okay.
and it's funny because like me and my husband, we've been together for 15 years, and he can tell like the way we say it, is that the autism is flaring up. That's not like a real thing. That's just how we explain it.
Right.
It doesn't come and go. But that's how we word it in the house. But anyways, he'll be like, I could totally tell, and it's usually Costco's the worst for it. So we'll be at Costco, which is like your Sam's Club. Um,
We have Costco
so we'll
too.
be at,
We have some. Yeah,
oh, I just know people go
yeah,
to Sam's Club.
yeah.
Um,
I live in Florida and we have them all over the
There you go. I
place.
love Costco. Except when we go, it can get very busy with a lot of people.
Mhm.
And it's the beginning of section's usually not too bad, but then as we get to like more the food section, I don't I don't intentionally do these things, but I'll like I don't know how to explain it, but I get more bigger.
Okay.
I don't know if I can get bigger than I am right now, but like I get bigger and like just like oh my goodness, I need to look at this and I need to touch that, I need to, because it's an overstimulation thing.
Hmm.
um so
It
then
truly is
yeah,
overstimulating
it's
Costco for
it
anybody.
is, right? And so that's when my husband would be like, well, your autism's coming out now. I'm like, yep, it is. Because it's harder to keep the mask on all the time. And like I said, we've been together 15 years. I don't care. He can see it all. He ain't leaving.
He's past the warranty.
Exactly. Yeah, we just had our 10-year wedding anniversary, and he was very sweet. See, I'm not sentimental, really. I'm not like lovey at
Okay.
all. Like, we sleep in separate beds because I want to be by myself. I sleep with my doggies. And so for our 10-year anniversary, he was so sweet. He printed out 10 pictures, because 10 years, 10 pictures of us, framed them, put them on the wall, all nice, with our wedding picture printed out, like extra big in the middle. Like, it was so sweet. I would never have thought to do that. Because I'm just not that kind of person. But it was very sweet of him. So yeah, he ain't going nowhere. He put way too much thought and effort.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah. I got him like 10 tin things because apparently 10 years is tin.
10 is 10.
And
Try
10
saying
is 10.
try saying that 10 times fast.
10, 10, 10, 10. Yeah, not easy.
Yeah, I've never understood the whole anniversary material thing. You know, it's like the first anniversary is paper.
Right? Like, that's weird. We don't usually even give each other anniversary gifts, but like 10 years, pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So I wanted a gift. Usually we just go out to like a fancy dinner together because I mean, when you're married and you buy a gift for your spouse, you're really just using your own together, like, because your money's together.
Sure,
Right.
exactly.
Right? So it's not really a gift. It's like, hey, you wanted this, so I bought it, even though you could have just bought it for yourself with our same shared money.
I've been married a long time, but we'll do the same thing. We'll just go out to a nice dinner, which is fine. I don't need the big gifts, and it all comes out of the same till. So
exactly. And when you're trying to like pay off debt, save for retirement, do whatever, it's like, should I buy you a gift or do you want me to just pay this credit card bill?
Right.
Happy birthday! I paid the credit card bill.
Hey, if you're paying my whole credit card bill, I'm okay with that.
Well, experiences make the best gifts anyway, I think.
They do.
You know, things are just things. You know,
exactly.
You know.
I agree.
That's why like the pictures, as much as the pictures are things, they show our experiences together. So it's very sweet because now, and where he put it, it's right beside, like it's right outside my door here. So every day when I come in my office, I see all of the pretty pictures. And I laughed when he saw it. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And then I laughed, like, look how much hair you had. He doesn't have any anymore.
Okay. I'm missing quite a bit of my hair as well. So
yeah,
so
yeah. You guys have the same style.
Go to the same barber.
My husband is similar to Bill, so it's
it's not a bad thing. Yeah. It's just funny when you look at the pictures from like 10 years ago and you're like, wow, look at that. Like, and I'm like, look how young I was. There's no gray hairs. Now I just color them away.
Yeah. Oh, so Mary, what's going on in Florida?
Florida is very humid right now. I just moved to Florida full time. I lived in Connecticut, right outside of Hartford, for 30 years.
Wow.
And we sold our home there, and we are officially Floridians and loving it. But you know what? I'm starting a whole new life here. So it's a little bit harder. I'm a little bit older now. It was different when you started a new life and your kids were younger and you met people that way. But it's good. It's all good and wonderful opportunities. But we're in. It's now July and a little bit humid, but not bad at all. Not bad.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about the Southeast is the humidity. That's I mean, I can deal with the heat here in California, but normally it's dry. The weather forecast is for us to get some humidity here in the next few days, and I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have lots too because I live right by the Great Lakes and the humidity comes off of there.
Yeah.
Luckily, knock on wood, so far it hasn't been too humid this summer compared to previous summers, but you get the like temperature and then the feels like temperature.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they say. 82 degrees, but it really feels like 100. I laugh
Right.
at that, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's great for your skin, the humidity, but for your hair, forget it.
Yeah. Ponytails and buns, like
Yeah,
updos, that's
yeah.
the summer.
I know. That's one good thing men don't have to worry about. So my husband doesn't have to worry about his hair either.
Yeah. What
My
hair?
husband just worries about the sunburns.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. That's why I wear a hat.
Yes, he has so many hats. Oh my goodness. And then he always buys more. He's like, "Oh, this is a nice hat." I'm like, "You realize you have like 50 of them, right?"
That's funny. No, I've got one. I gave away all the others. I
Oh,
had well, I
no.
had one other real hat, and then I had a bunch of baseball caps, and I don't like the baseball caps because they don't cover your ears.
Oh, yeah, see my husband, when I say like 50 hats, it's like baseball hats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that they're normally walking advertisements, and I don't like
Yeah.
advertising for people who aren't paying me to advertise.
Right? Yeah, my husband doesn't care because he doesn't get paid advertisements anyways. He's a mechanic, so
Okay.
I don't care.
I started out as a mechanic. My
Oh,
first foray into college was for a degree in automotive technology in Austin P State University, Tennessee.
wow,
So
very
yeah,
cool.
I'm a military brat, so that's where we happened to be when it was time to go to college. So that's why I
Very
went to
nice.
college there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, my husband had thought about joining the military or becoming a police officer or whatever, and then he got diabetes
Hmm.
and couldn't pass physicals.
Right.
So then he became a mechanic.
Okay.
And I have to say, it made me happy because I never had to worry about him getting shot.
Yeah, most mechanics don't get shot at.
No. He has some stories about some angry customers and things, but doesn't get shot at.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a story about I got a story about a guy who drove from about 50, 60 miles away to kick my ass because he thought I had been misleading him on a sale of a car.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So thankfully I wasn't there. I wasn't at the dealership at the time. So
good.
yeah.
It sounds like it wouldn't have been fun times.
No, probably not.
Oh. Yeah, no, he doesn't have any stories like that.
Okay.
Although I could picture people saying that to him because not that he would try to rip somebody off. He's always the one that's like, yeah, you don't need that actually fixed. But he just has that like, well, you know how they always say ladies have a resting face?
Mhm.
Yeah, my husband totally does.
mm,
Goodness gracious. But yeah, now I'm a business type person, so I do leadership development, and
Oh,
not too
cool.
many angry people
very nice.
in that
Yeah.
area.
It's a wonderful profession to be in. We need those qualities. So,
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. You can teach skills like how to use a computer or whatever, but those other ones was like soft skill leadership stuff, way harder to come by. Some
yeah,
people just do not grasp
yeah,
it.
yeah. It can be quite difficult sometimes.
I was an employment counselor in my old life, and that was the hardest thing for people. I was like, if you can't be professional, I don't know how you're gonna pass this interview and get the job. Like it's just not gonna happen.
Right.
Sometimes they believe me, sometimes they don't.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm mesmerized by your background, Randy. Um, the purple and black.
Ah, yes. The in front of me is green and black because when we ordered it, so we ordered the soundproof tiles off of Amazon.
Okay.
Um, and we ordered oodles of things off of Amazon for like years
Yeah.
in this house. Gets delivered, no problems for years and years and years. So then we order because purple's my favorite color.
Okay.
And so we order the box.
I'm wearing a
gets
purple shirt,
delivered.
by the way.
Purple's my favorite color. I had a purple hair. Actually, my one book cover, I have my purple hair. It just doesn't stay long enough. But anyway, so the box gets delivered, and I got home, and I'm like, where the heck is it? Somebody had stole it.
Oh no.
And Amazon was super good. Like I called them immediately, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just refund you, and if you want to reorder, you can. That wasn't the issue. But like I said, years and years we've been in this house, never had an issue. So then when we go to reorder, they didn't have enough purple in stock for how much I needed.
Oh no.
But I got enough that at least my background is all the same color, purple black. So I was so disappointed when I was like, no, but I want purple.
Yeah, it's great for your podcasting studio. So
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, when I interviewed you, I was still in the basement.
Yeah.
So I'm finally upstairs in my office because
Yeah,
my mom moved
but
out. Yay!
but it was lovely. You had a lovely background, and yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like a horrible setup, but it's just nice being up here, and
Sure.
it's a dedicated spot. I don't have to ever move stuff around. It's like this is where I'm at. I have my soundproofing stuff, and I can go upstairs. It's a lot more bright, well, during the day, so it's much nicer. I can actually look from my desk straight out the window. As soon as my husband moves the air conditioner, because he put it in the wrong window, but I can look straight out my window and see my beautiful garden. So
Okay.
love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm in a big empty office.
Well, that sounds boring.
It is.
You need some purple.
Yeah.
A home office, Bill?
No, no. I'm in a co-working space.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called People Space. It's here in Irvine. I have a dedicated desk where I can leave my stuff, and so I don't have to carry it home every night. And but it's not as expensive as a real office. But it just so happens that there's nobody else here.
Oh.
At least not at 7 o'clock when I do the show. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's real quiet. I don't have to worry about the
That's
about
great.
the soundproofing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the soundproofing only goes so far, but it's still a lot better. When I was in the basement, because the living room was right above me, you could hear my little dogs walking around and everything, because I've got 3 dogs, and you just hear all the little claws. So at least here you don't hear that at all.
Yeah, yeah. When I do the show from home, I also do a couple of Bible studies that I do with my roommate and my father. And when I'm at home, you can hear the dogs because we got a little Chihuahua and a little Maltese mix. And while we have carpet in the room where we do the show from, so you can't hear the little click, click, click of the claws, but the way the apartment's situated is we can't see anything out of the backyard other than the backyard because there's the garages right behind, and so you can't see the parking lot or anything like that. But there's a dog in the corner apartment who overlooks the parking lot, and so every time somebody walks by his apartment, he has to bark. Well, the dogs don't realize that he's looking at something different than what they can see. And so they run out to the front of the apartment, barking and barking, expecting to find somebody out there.
Yeah.
That is so cute.
But of course there's nobody there, so they stop barking and wonder what happened.
Oh, I love it. Dogs are so adorable. We have, like I said, 3, which equals a pack. If you have less than 3, you don't have a pack, so you need another one.
Okay. We have 2 dogs and a cat. Does that count?
I never knew that. See, I learned something new. 3 dogs is a pack. Okay.
And 3 or more cats is a clouder. I know that because I have 4 cats.
Clouder.
Okay.
Or they call you the crazy cat lady, right?
Yeah, I used to say so. My mom used to live with us, and my stepdaughter and my grandson used to live with us. So I used to say, as long as we don't have more cats than people, we can't be the crazy cat family. My stepdaughter and grandson moved out. My mom has moved out, and the cats now outnumber the people. This is the first time I've thought about that.
Okay.
We are now the crazy cat family.
So I'm here with Mary
okay.
Savarese and Randy, the crazy cat lady.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I love cats. Actually, one of my the second kids book I wrote was about my cat I had when I was little, Diamond the cat.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love cats too. I love to watch the reels on Facebook and just when people put up the kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's adorable.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, do you have TikTok, Mary?
Yes, and I'm on TikTok. Yes, my books. Yep.
Nice.
I don't go on personally. I
okay.
promote different things as an author. So.
Perfect. Well, you should follow. Well, first off, follow me, Write or Die Show.
Yeah.
But follow my animals. My animals have their own TikTok.
Oh, no.
Awesome. I will. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the cats and the dogs. They're all on there. It's called Fred, Daff, and the Gang. I know it's a very, very weird name and it's kind of hard to find because it's a weird name, but it's because the dog's name is Freddie and Daphne, and then the gang, the rest of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is how that came around. But yeah, I post all sorts of adorable things about all the animals.
And what does that say about us? Because I have to pull myself away from watching these little interesting little bits of just right. It's like a little show, but I'm always amazed. And I'd say, okay, that's enough. I've got to get back to work. I've got to do this. But I could sit there and just watch these.
Just one more.
It's TikTok's algorithm. They know what you want to watch, and the average, what is it? The average length of a person stay on TikTok's like 2 hours or something. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, my husband's bad for that. Like he gets in it and he's just on a TikTok hole and he's like, "Oh, what time is it?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do this?" And then it like ruins your attention span to watch like movies and TV shows and stuff.
Right.
Oh well, TikTok wins because it has adorable animals.
Yep. Oh. So Mary, I like your background too. I like the waves and the ocean and all that.
Yeah, I wanted to do a little nighttime thing. So this is just a portrait in my living room of the ocean in the evening.
Okay.
And I put my books back there too.
Right.
So, but thank you for noticing.
That was the first thing I noticed too, actually, because when I interviewed you, you had a different setup. It was like red or something behind you, and there was like a tree or something, like a plant.
Yeah, I'm always changing. So
I like this better because it's like brighter and eye catching too. It's good. It's really good.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
I don't have nearly as interesting a background. It's just the white walls and the overhead lights. See, that's why I said it's not important that anybody sees me.
But sometimes it's nice to put like a face to a name. Although I do have like you have your little picture there.
Yeah, my little face picture. So you kind of see what I'm looking. I'm sporting a full beard right now though. So.
Oh.
Okay.
So yes, I am.
So now I'm trying to picture this.
Yeah. So I'm the scruffy man from the north or from the south, I guess. So.
Yeah, I'm from the north.
You're from the north.
Although I like to say, because of where I live, I'm north to you, but I am the most southern of Canada.
Yes. Yes,
right.
You are.
So your weather, it's cold, but it's not as cold.
Oh, it's not cold at all right now.
Yeah. Well, now, but like, what are your seasons? What is it like in October, November? Do you get snow then, or?
Occasionally we've gotten a bit, but it doesn't stay. Like Buffalo's weather, way worse than ours.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Buffalo and New York, they get dumped on, and we're like, nothing. Got nothing.
Okay.
Sometimes, like, we had a very mild winter this past winter in general. We didn't get snow until January. Wow. It gets chilly, but it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I will never move north. I will never move west, and I will never move east. because everywhere else the weather sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get that little bit of cold. The worst part about the winter is the wind chill from the lakes.
Mm.
But because of the escarpment, it's not as bad. And then, like you were saying earlier, Mary, the humidity. When the
Yeah.
humidity hits, that's yucky, but that's
Yeah.
about it. The
Yeah.
rest is fine.
My roommate's considering moving out of the area, and one of the places he's thinking about is Washington State. And I was looking through property listings for him, and I'm like, here's an interesting one. It's like 2 blocks from the Canadian border, and the only way to drive to another part of the United States is to drive through Canada.
Oh, isn't that
Oh,
funny?
that's a
I
funny place
love
to
it.
Yeah,
live.
I know. He didn't seem too
Yeah.
keen on it though.
Oh.
We're so friendly, I'm told.
I've heard you all are friendly. You seem
Oh, we have
friendly.
so many Canadians in Florida, and they're all lovely. So
One day I hope to be able to have my own like be what we call snow bunnies, or no, that's the ones that ski. I don't ski. What are they called?
what are they? I hate the
I don't
term
remember.
snowbirds. Snowbirds.
Yes,
Snowbirds.
that's it.
I
Birds.
I
Bunny
hate that
apparently
term.
bunnies ski. I
Yeah.
don't
And
know.
birds go to the beach.
Snowbirds and go to the
And
beach. So
snowbirds do 6 months up north, 6 months in the south.
that is what I want to do when I retire. If I could retire right now, that'd be perfect. I'd do it.
Mhm.
I hate the cold. Like people are always like, "Oh, so you must like skiing and stuff." I'm like, "No. Winter comes, I stay in my house. I don't ski, I don't skate, I don't no, I
That's why you do podcasts and write.
exactly. Yeah, during the summer,
Yeah.
everything's pre-recorded for my podcast.
Yeah.
So during the summer, I don't do it for that very much. In the winter, I do all my recordings because I don't go outside other than to walk my dog. My one dog, he is such a jerk. He will not go number 2 outside. So or like in our backyard, he has to go for a walk twice a day, no matter the weather. And so we did get one really bad snowstorm this year, and he still made me take him for a walk. So I can't listen to him whine. Even when I'm like, go outside, he'll just hold it and he'll whine. And so I was like, okay, so I took him for a walk, and the snow was so he is a lab. All right. So he's not a small dog. He's a fairly decent sized dog, right? He's
Yeah.
a lab. It was up to his neck. And he was still trucking through the snow. And I'm like, wow, I am hating you right now. I had my snow pants on and everything. I'm like, I hate you so much. Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that anymore.
That's the one thing about my dogs I don't like is
Yeah.
when they force me to take them for a walk in the snow. But I'll forgive them because they're cute.
Yeah, we don't have that problem either.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I left that after. I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, lived in Massachusetts,
Wow.
Connecticut for 30 years. So we have always had the snow. And so I'm liking the humidity. I'll deal with it.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so I have a question
Okay.
that you just made me think of. Because so many times when I talk to Americans, because most of the people on my show are from the States, and y'all move around a lot. Like I shouldn't say nobody. Most of the people I've talked to have not stayed in the same place that they were born and raised. They're like, "Oh yeah, I moved to this state, I moved to that state." Whereas most of us, we just we stay born and raised, and we just stay right where we are. Some people do, like I have a cousin, he moved out east and whatnot, but for the most part, you stay within, I'd say, 2 hours of where you grew up. Is that like an American thing? Y'all just like to move around?
I would say, Bill and Randy, my generation and older, they would stay, but even my generation, we started to move around. But this younger generation, yeah, they don't stay put; they move around. And so, in a way, it's nice to hear you still have those traditional inputs that families stay close to each other, right? I don't know about you, Bill, where your family are they're all over. My family's all over the place.
Well,
So
I'm a military brat, so
yeah,
I grew
Right?
up moving
yeah,
around. And my youngest brother and his family live in Missouri, not far from where my parents live. My other younger brother, and his family live in Oklahoma, and my sister and her family just moved to Indiana from Georgia. I've lived in Southern California now. Has it really been like 30 years? It's time to move. Um,
Surprise!
yeah, surprise, but not in the same place in Southern California.
yeah.
But pardon me. Uh, but uh, uh, but yeah, but one of my best friends, he lives in the same house that he grew up in.
Okay.
So yeah, with his kids and his wife and all of them all
Okay,
together.
that's kind of nice.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's really weird. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can do something like that.
Yeah, like I grew up in like the same region,
Mhm.
but in a different city. It's only like 20 minutes away. Still, my in-laws still live there, and that's where my stepdaughter now lives with my grandson. But like, I would never move back to that city. It's only 20 minutes away, but it feels like a very big difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I would say 2 generations ago, people lived, families just lived near each other. That's the way it was. You didn't leave. But
Yeah.
today, jobs and just the way
Yeah.
Yeah.
technology is, and,
Well,
yeah,
now that we're living in a Zoom world,
right.
I think
You can live
you can live
anywhere.
anywhere.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of nice. But at the same time, just from a parent perspective, when you've got kids, it's a little bit nicer when there's some family around because babysitters.
Yeah.
Babysitters are nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Babysitters are nice.
If your
Yep.
family's nice enough to babysit, that is.
Yeah. I was, but now I live far away from everybody. So
There you go.
I'm the last of us in California, really.
Okay.
So well, I say that, but it's not entirely true. I have an aunt and uncle who live like an hour away from me, and then I have another uncle who lives a couple hours away from me, but I never see them,
Hmm.
so it doesn't
Yeah.
count.
Okay.
Once you get into like hours away, I find it's harder to see the person because like my cousin, she only lives in Toronto, so that's only like 2 hours from me.
Mhm.
But I just like 2 hours is a long distance to try and like see each other for lunch or
Right,
Yeah.
something.
right. Yeah, and then you run into possible traffic,
Oh,
and so
definite
then
traffic when you talk about
2 hours turns into
Toronto.
4, and yeah.
Yeah. If you're lucky, Toronto is ridiculous for traffic. I hate it. We actually just went to we saw the Harry Potter
Okay.
play in Toronto not too long ago.
Hmm.
And like I said, it should only be about a 2 hour drive. Really, it's about an hour and a half, but we say 2 hours. And it took 2 hours just to get out of Toronto and then the hour and a half drive on the highway
Wow.
home.
Wow. That's
Ugh,
that's a lot of traffic. Yeah.
Toronto is horrible for it, which is why I don't know how. Well, my cousin doesn't drive. She just takes the subway everywhere. She refuses to drive because what's the point?
Yeah. If you got good public transportation, there really isn't a point to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Toronto's set up well. Like where I am in this region, it's horrible. So you need a car, you need to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same way out here. Where yeah, we really don't have good public transit. Everybody has a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. California is not known for its public I mean, for its
No,
subways or
no,
anything, right?
no.
Like that.
Although here
But
in the city I live in Santa Ana, they're trying to build a little rail car setup and
Hmm,
which of course is
that's
messing up
cool.
all the normal traffic patterns. So,
Hmm,
but
maybe
Yeah.
not so cool.
yeah,
I take
not
it back.
until it's done anyway. Once it's done, who knows? But if it ever gets
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've been talking about making regional transit
Hmm.
here. So, okay, to just because some of the listeners they may not understand what I'm saying when I say region. So where I live, we are divided up into 12 different
Okay.
municipalities. So basically 12 different little cities. But we make up one giant region, which would be about the size of a large city. Just like all the regions together would be a large city. So basically for us, it'd be like
Okay.
Toronto. But here, not as many people though, just like space wise. But each city has their own transit. The problem is there's not a lot of jobs in some of the cities because some of them are very small. And so you have to go to a different city. And so for years it was, oh, we got to get regional transit, we got to get regional transit. And there was this big thing, well, who's going to pay for it? Because my city's not paying for that one and blah, blah, blah. So they did eventually come up with regional bus transit. It sucks. There's like, it would take you so long to get from where I live to like the other side of the region when it would only take me like 20 minutes to drive
Right.
there. It would take me probably an hour to hour and a half on a bus
Yeah.
to get there. And then I'd still probably end up having to walk from the bus stop to wherever I was going. So like, do I really want to take that? I'd rather just drive. So unless they can come up with a better system, I don't think they. And like the hours that they run, it's like, okay, you can either be at work 2 hours early or you can be late. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. We have. We're doing okay on the regional on our county level
Oh,
for
good.
buses. But if you try to get between counties, then forget it. You're done. That's you're in the 2 hours early or a half hour late
Yeah.
category for whatever
Yeah.
it is you're doing, and it doesn't matter what you're trying to do or what time it is. Yeah, I used to years and years ago. I was going through. I had gotten knee surgery, and I couldn't
Oh,
drive, so I had to take the bus to physical therapy. And a drive, like you said, a drive that would have taken me 20 minutes to do by car took 2 hours by bus, and
yeah.
it's like it's ridiculous. You get to the
Right.
Absolutely.
county
Right.
line, and
It's not productive
no, no,
time.
No,
So
no. I mean, yeah, okay, you could read a book. Like when I did have to take the bus as a teenager to get to work, it was about half hour, 45-minute ride. I would read a book, listen to music, maybe do some homework. But like as an adult now, I don't have time for that. Like I need to get from one place to another. Oh no, now I need to stop and pick up bread at the store, milk at the store. Oh, and I gotta pick up my kid from school. And like I was just sitting in my
yep,
car.
yep. Things change when you become an adult.
Ugh, doesn't it suck?
they
I don't want
certainly
to adult.
do.
I don't want to be a grown up.
No, exactly. I don't want to adult.
there
But
there there are days like that, right? Where you feel
yeah.
that exactly.
But like you can have cake for breakfast if you really wanted to. Nobody's gonna tell you no.
That's true.
So there's some perks.
Well, people might tell you no, but they can't actually stop you.
Okay, yes, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure I would probably hear no, but yeah. I was like, so when I started kickboxing, my mom was like, and I was an adult, I was in my 20s. And my mom was like, are you sure you want to do that? What if you get hurt? What if this happens? What if that happens? I'm like, well, since I don't need your permission, I'm gonna do it. So it's just, but our parents are always parents, no matter how old you
Yeah.
get. So,
Yep.
they're going to tell you their 2 cents, even when you don't want to hear
Oh
it,
yeah.
especially
Especially
when you
when you
don't want
don't
to
want
hear
to hear it. Yeah, I turned the big 50 this year. So yeah, my parents
Oh.
still give me
Um,
the business when they feel like it. Sometimes I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And well, sometimes they have good
Yes,
advice. Sometimes.
sometimes.
You gonna have a party
I don't know.
with cake?
Probably
And
maybe
ice
well,
cream?
cake.
happy
Well, thank
birthday,
you.
Bill. You're still young.
Yeah, it's not that old. It's more that it's a
Mm,
landmark than anything else. Yeah.
50,
Yeah.
50 is the new 30, 60 is the new 40, 30 is the new 10.
Oh, is that how that's working now?
Okay.
All right. Good to know. Glad I'm in the loop
Yeah,
now.
yeah. We're in the know. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, when I turned 30, I'm like, I don't know what it was from 29 to 30. 30 was pretty awesome. I'm having a great time in my 30s, other than cancer and stuff. But 30's been great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now you opened up
I'm glad you're
I'm glad to hear you're
now you
doing
opened up
well.
a new
well.
thing. Cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
Ta-da! Be 4 years this year. 4 years, all go better this year.
Yay.
So, because I opened up the can of
Yes.
worms, I will tell you. So 2018 is when I had it. And so
What
I went.
can I ask you what type?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I went for my regular women checkup, which women do not wait to go get that
Right.
done. Okay, bad news bears. So that's what kind it was, cervical. So I went for my regular checkup. The doctor called me. I went back to like get the results, and he goes, "So there are some big long doctor terms." I'm like, "Uh huh." He goes, "Bad cells, abnormal cells. I'm going to send you to a gynecologist because it's just our family doctor that
Mhm.
does those tests."
Mm.
So I went to a gynecologist, and he goes, "Okay, so I'm just going to take a little biopsy in here," and I go, "Okay." So I did that. And then he calls me back, he goes, okay, so there are some abnormal cells, big long doctor terms. We're gonna take out the bad piece. He goes, it's pre-cancer. We're gonna take out this bad piece. So I go and I have first surgery. And I go in and I was like so petrified because I had never really had surgery
Mhm.
before. Um,
And
and
you're really young to be
at
dealing with this.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucked that way. But that's okay. And so I had my first surgery. Everything went well. And the doctor said, okay, I'm going to see you in 8 weeks for a follow up. Like, cool, cool. 1 week later, his office calls me. Crap. This is not going to be good. And so the receptionist was like, can you come in today? I was like, okay. So I got a babysitter for my kid and I went sat there for a while because they just were kind of squeezing me in, and I'm like, oh, that's really bad. I'm here a week early. You made me come in the same day you called me, and you squeezed me in. So I knew something bad was coming. I go into the little room. I sit down. As soon as the doctor walks in the room, he goes, "You already have kids, right?" I'm like, yes. So sorry to tell you this, but you have cancer. So we're going to need to do a hysterectomy. I'm like, oh, okay. You can just take it. I don't need these parts. You can take it. So me and my husband 2 years before that had already decided we weren't having any more kids, and he got a vasectomy. So I really didn't need those parts. So I was like, you could take it. I don't need it. You could take it. He goes, well, you have to finish healing from the surgery you had last week before we're going to do another one. I go, okay, because you can have it. Like, I just kept repeating that over and over because, like, my brain wasn't quite processing everything yet. Um, but then I had a hysterectomy. It was almost 2 months later because you had to heal. Had a hysterectomy, and then that they didn't even keep me overnight in the hospital or
Wow.
anything. Went home, and our healthcare system kind of sucks. Anyways, um, that was on a Tuesday. By the Wednesday, I was so sick. I have never seen my husband so scared. Even when he almost died, he wasn't even that scared. And so he takes me back to the hospital, and I had gotten an infection from the surgery. And I was so dehydrated that I couldn't even cry. Like, I was just so weak. And so they took a whole bunch of blood, and I hate needles. Hooked me up to an IV, did a whole bunch of tests to check what else was going on. And then I did stay overnight there and got a whole bunch of antibiotics the next day to take home and like prescription. And then I was all better and I was fine. And now we're 4 years without
Yay.
it.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that you're doing great.
But it was a
Yeah,
scary time.
scare. It is scary. Anytime you hear the word cancer,
Yeah.
it's scary.
Oh, yeah. And that is when I decided to dye my hair crazy color. This is dark and not as crazy. Because now it's been 4 years, but like I was so scared to lose my hair, which I know sounds kind of stupid because really you can die from cancer and oh, you're worried about what you look like aesthetically. And going back to what we were saying at the beginning of the episode about how we have to be able to do everything. Well, I was scared that if I lost my hair, then people would know that I had cancer and then they would treat me different and then they would know that I couldn't do everything. So then it was just like that weird, horrible cycle in my head. But to celebrate, I dyed my hair bright green and bright purple and I had all these crazy colors for a while.
And so you didn't lose your hair because you didn't get chemo.
No, I was very lucky. Yeah, so I didn't. I guess I should tell the very end part. So then I went back for my checkup. After my infection was gone, and I did not die from that. I think I was closer to death from the infection that I got after the hysterectomy than the actual
Wow.
cancer because we
Right.
caught
Yeah,
it so early.
yeah.
Um,
I've heard of that before. Sure.
yeah, it was really bad. I've never been so sick in my life. And luckily my husband was like, because I was like, no, I'm fine. I said, I'm fine. He's like, no, you're not fine. We're going back to the hospital now. Get up. And I'm like, I can't get up. He's like, okay, then I'm gonna pick you up. um, so yeah, when I went back for my checkup, they came back and they said that I didn't need chemo or radiation or any of that, which was when I did my little happy dance and booked myself the hair appointment. And they said that they got everything because that what they do is they take it out and they send it like to whatever lab or whatever to test to see whatever they're looking
Right.
for, to see if it's worse than they thought it was or
And they're looking for
whatever. I'm not a
margins
scientist.
and yeah,
Yeah, there's
science.
stuff they're doing. Exactly, it's not me. So yeah, and it came back and it was fine, and then yeah, little happy dance.
Cool.
So it took me a while actually to even start owning the fact that I had cancer and saying I'm a cancer survivor. Because at first, because I didn't have chemo, because I didn't have radiation, because I didn't have to do what I was considering the hard stuff. I was like, when people would say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're doing good," or "Oh, you're a cancer survivor. That's so good for you," or "I couldn't even imagine," or whatever. I'm just like, it was just a surgery, guys. Like, it's not a big deal, but
Oh,
it was.
it is a big deal.
It
It is a
was.
big deal, Randy.
I think that was just
Yeah.
my way of coping with it at the time was minimalizing it because I didn't want to deal with my own mortality.
Right. And thank God you didn't need chemo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's that can of worms.
Well,
I told
you
you I could
did.
talk
You
forever.
did. But this hasn't quite been forever yet.
Not yet, but I keep going if you really want me to.
Well, I feel like we're minimizing Mary's time to contribute.
Well, that's why I'm trying to shut up. But it's
I love listening to Randy. No, it's a pleasure. It really, really is to hear you.
well, thank you. I just don't want you to feel like I'm taking over. I'm not trying to.
not at all. It's a skill. It's a skill. I love it. I love it.
So is that your okay? So I saw your orange covered book, or it
Yes.
looks orange on my screen,
Yeah.
anyways.
When I spoke with you last year, as I said, I was just starting to get on podcasts. So you were my first one of my first interviewers, and you were fabulous and you relaxed me, just like you, Bill. You're nice and relaxing. And so my second book, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, not toilet wallpaper, toile wallpaper. As I said, I love to write with these quirky titles. And toile is, for your audience, toile is an artistic wall covering fabric. It's present in our everyday lives. You just don't know that it's called toile, but it's two-toned and it's very, very bright colors. And like my book cover will show you an example of the toile. It's just two-toned, very artistic, and it tells a story. So if you love fantasy adventure intertwined with romance, that is the first of my Star Riders trilogy, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. The second book in the trilogy, I am presently in the process of editing with my publishing house. So I'm very excited about all of that. And the Tigers book has won 8 awards. The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper is a finalist for first place or grand prize for the CIBA, which is the Chanticleer International Book Award. So keeping my fingers crossed on that. But at this point, it's already a finalist. So
that's so cool. I love how it looks like the silhouette of the girl like falling.
Yeah, that was
so eye-catching.
That was the publisher. I mean, it's hardcover, softcover ebook, but the hardcover is I'm going to be shameless here. It's so artistic with that girl falling and what they designed, and then the back has the cat. Because it is a fantasy adventure, which is what I love, because real life is too real for me. Talk about that. I love to write about fantasy, and I would love to live in fantasy if I could.
Yes. It's so eye-catching that I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And so the orange one is the tiger?
Yep, and yes, that is the tigers in the bubble bath. And this one is a mystery romance intertwined with a spiritual twist or supernatural twist. So it's different than my new genre. But a little similar there, because it's still fiction and you're still, talking about fantasy things. And
people are always like, oh, what genre do you write? I don't think we need to pigeonhole ourselves into one. If we like more than one thing, then do it. Okay. Like, I mean, there's certain ones I know I wouldn't write. Like, I don't think I could write a sci-fi, but I don't watch them. I don't read them. It's not something I like a lot. Not that I haven't read some, but but you don't have to just stick to one, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, why should you?
Who said we had to?
Yeah. I mean, it makes it nice and easy for marketing, but to have a niche market, but yeah, it's like, where's the fun in doing the same thing over and over again?
Exactly. I'm a writer for fun. Like, I mean, as a job, like I do it because it's fun. It's my passion. I love it. So I let it take me where it wants to.
I agree. If it's not a passion of yours anymore and you hate it, then don't do it anymore. But I'm with you on that, Randy. I just love it. I just love to write, and I love to write about fantasy things. So
awesome. I love that.
Well, what are some important things you've learned in your writer's journeys for those who might be thinking about getting into it?
It's tough. Times have changed for the better, but again, build a tough skin, right? Because it is one rejection after another. That's what I experienced. But if you have a passion, have faith in yourself and never give up on yourself. Just go with it. And the opportunities are out there for you, but stick with it. If you're that type of person that loves it and can stick with it, it'll work for you. I can promise you that. I mean, I stuck with it for 10 years. I finally said, God, when is this going to happen for me? I'm going to be an old lady. And then sure enough, a contract came in. So.
Nice.
And look, you're not an old lady.
Not yet.
One day, maybe. Maybe.
One day.
We hope, right? That is the hope, is to get to be old.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Eventually.
How about you, Randy?
So I'm wow, brain fart again. I am
Right.
self-published. So actually we had this conversation on my show too, Mary, because you are traditionally published, and that was your advice then too, is have a thick skin. So a big reason I went with self-publishing is that, not that I don't have a thick skin, but because I also deal with depression, I knew that depending on the day that letter of rejection came in, because you're going to get rejected, probably more than once before somebody says yes. I just didn't want to take that chance with my mental health. So I just decided I'm just going to self-publish, because it is so easy to do now. And there are some amazing indie authors out there. Like, there really
absolutely. Yeah. Times have really changed for the better regarding that. It's no longer taboo to self-publish. And now you have co-publishing opportunities. There's so much out there for an aspiring writer who really wants to publish. The world has changed.
Yeah.
For the better.
So, exactly. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, whether you go traditional like Mary or you'd go self-published like me. And then the other big reason I did it that way was because, like I said, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into just one genre. And so I don't have to that way. I can publish what I'm feeling at the time. Like, if I want to write a kid's book, cool, I'm writing a kid's book. If I want to write scary stories, cool, I'm writing scary stories. If I want to do it a journal, I can do that. So it just gives me a little more freedom, more flexibility to just, what I like to say, follow my dopamine, follow my passions.
And I love what you said. You can pursue what you want to write. I am with the new publishing house, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm already published. It'll be so easy to publish my next. It was a trilogy, and they want series. No, not interested. So I went looking. Yeah, I went looking for a new publishing house, and that was the other thing. You think, gosh, I'm finally published. It took me a decade. No, not interested. So yeah.
So you had to put your thick skin back on, eh?
Yeah, my thick skin is always
always on.
And you always find with editing you need really thick skin. Now, who edits your books, Randy?
I have a couple of people that I use that help me out with the editing. Yeah. But yeah, the editing, that is the worst part of writing.
It's one of the toughest things, because you think, wow, if, like, I always thought, wow, if you like my writing, why did why did you give me this contract? And then you're literally tearing it apart from, one page to the next. But editors, I have learned that love your editor, because they do know what they're doing, and they just massage it and they move it here. It's still your story, and they know what they're doing. Any book that you hold in your hand, no matter self-published or whatever, where it started out is totally different than how it ends up. Totally.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, when it comes to editing, the nice thing about self-publishing is because you have more creative freedom, somebody can give you feedback, and you might say, but I really like, if they say, hey, this scene really doesn't add a lot of value, you can be like, but I like this scene. I want to keep it in, right? Like, you don't have to make those changes because you don't have a publisher pushing you for certain changes, which is nice. I mean, again, love your editors. Like, you're so right. Love your editors because they will save your butt on certain things. But if they're giving you feedback that you're like, but this character, I just love them the way they are. Like, they need to stay, right?
Yeah. Oh, I fight my battles. To me, if it's something minor, they don't want it, fine. But I will fight the battles for the major things. I won't give in.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. You have to know when to fight and when to what is that?
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Hold them.
You got Kenny
Yeah.
Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about loving your editors before. That seems to be a fairly common theme among authors. Once they learn what it means to have an editor, that is.
You can tell the books that have never ever been edited, and I mean, even with some of the best editors, you still might have a few things that slip through the cracks. But you can tell, like, when it's a big glaring mistake. So I have a blog where I do book reviews, and some of the books I read, I'm like, did you not give this another read? Did you just write it and you were done? Like, it never had a second read through? You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the industry, there is a certain percentage that is allowed. But you're right, if you surpass that percentage, the reviewers really will kill you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It can get pretty bad sometimes. And I always try, just because I am an author myself and I know how hard it can be to put yourself out there. I always try to put a little bit of a positive spin on my reviews, even if I'm like, it's not worth your time to read. It's still hard to put it out there. So I still try to find something that's good. Because I mean, no book is total garbage. There is always one something good in there. I try to point out.
So
Sometimes you have to read between the lines, though.
You're a good person, Randy.
Well, just because I know what it's like to be an author too, right? And so, you always, and as a coach, because I've been coaching kickboxing for a long time too and stuff, as a coach, you never want to just say what somebody did wrong. You also want to give them positive feedback.
The positivity sandwich.
You got
give
it.
them something positive, give them something negative, give them something positive. Right. Put it all together.
Yeah, you're inspiring the person because I love it there at least, and then it's like you have positive critiquing, not that it's all just negative.
Right.
Somebody did spend a lot of time and energy doing it. So, if they want to do it again, it doesn't help to just go, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever read. Why would anybody read this? No, you might say, hey, the story concept was great. The character development needed a little more work.
Yeah.
There's always something good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. There's almost always something good.
Yeah. even if it's just the way that it's binded together.
Yep. The binding was incredible. I know you didn't, as an author, have anything to do with that specifically.
But you picked who printed it.
Yes, you did.
Sometimes finding that gem is harder than other times.
Yes.
But it's there somewhere. Just got to dig.
Believe me, I know. I've read some books.
That's scary.
Yeah. See, I do read the sci-fi, and there's a lot of sci-fi crap out there.
Well, and I've had some people give me their sci-fi books to read and give reviews, and so I do. And some of them I'm reading, and again, I've watched some. It's just not my favorite genre to watch or to read.
Yeah.
And some of them I'm just like, wow, this is just. There's something about that genre that it's almost like I will throw any random thing together and it will be great. And it's like, it still needs to
Yeah.
make a little bit of sense.
Because science fiction is just that big category, and then you've got like subgenres within. It's like one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it can be great. There is some great science fiction out there with incredible not public social commentary and you know and hidden meanings and messages and you know and all that. And then there's stuff where people threw a science word and a car word together and decided that was that made something.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't just throw everything into a pot and hope that it tastes good after.
Right.
Oh my goodness, so hilarious story. Because we're talking about throwing random things together. Way back when we were super broke as a new couple, in college with children, my husband was making chili for dinner. And basically looking in the cupboards for what the heck can I add to this so that it will be filling. He put blueberries in. Just don't.
Blueberry chili.
It was so bad. But we were so broke.
Really?
We were so broke we had to eat it anyways because there wasn't anything else to eat. We will still joke about it to this day. Like if we have blueberries, I'll be like, please don't make chili. Like it was so bad. But that's kind of like a book, right? Just because blueberries are really good and chili is really good doesn't mean they go together.
No, no, no. My grandmother was never, my dad's mom, that is, was never a great cook. But one day she made this incredible pan of enchiladas, and
Ooh.
they couldn't eat it because she'd made it too spicy. And
Oh.
so I had this entire pan full of enchiladas, and it lasted me a few days and all. And I thought, wow, that was great. That was incredible. I can't believe you actually made this. And all. And weeks later, she made another pan of chili, or not chili, enchiladas. And she said, these aren't as spicy, but I made some extras for you. So I'm like, great. She hadn't made them the same.
Oh no.
She put hard boiled eggs in them. And while it while it didn't really change the taste that much, I mean, hard boiled eggs don't really have that much of a taste to them.
Yeah.
But texturally, it was bad. It was just bad.
Yeah, I've never heard of hard-boiled eggs in enchiladas.
No. And we live a lot closer to Mexico than you do. So
That's a very good point.
yeah. Yeah, it was yeah, sometimes things that are good separately, definitely not good together.
Exactly. And sometimes it's worth the try and sometimes we just shouldn't try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's good to know my husband's not the only one who makes very strange attempts at things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least he was bold enough to try, I guess.
Yep.
And you have these wonderful memories.
That's right.
Right? And that's more important than anything else, the memories. But like I trying to remember. I don't think we had even been together for a year yet, or maybe just close to a year. So I'm trying to be like, this is so good. Please never do this again.
And now you would be like, oh, this is crap. Never do that.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, okay, can you go get me some like outside food? Because I'm hungry now. I don't want to cook something different. But I'm not eating this.
Just eat around the blueberries.
Yeah, but if they explode, then their flavor, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's true.
red.
But
Yeah, it was bad.
oh goodness. Let's see. Well, what for would-be authors, other than not just randomly mixing things together, what advice might you have for them? What can they do to make it easier on themselves?
I don't think there's anything to make it easier on yourself, but I think Randy and I both feel if it's part of your soul, if it's, and I don't mean to speak for you, Randy, but we
Oh no,
talk
I
about
agree.
that
Yeah.
that passion, you will find a way. That's what it takes. It takes that passion that you're not going to give up, and you'll find a way to make it work for you. But there's no easy way.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely no easy way, but maybe to make it easier, um, keep writing, right? Like the first thing you write might not be very good. Don't give up. Right? Write something else, then write something else, then write something else. Um, and if you can, maybe plan a little bit so that you don't have plot holes.
Okay.
Or keep track of, I named the mother Anne, and don't all of a sudden start calling her Shelley or something in the book, and that's where editing comes in.
Yes.
Very important. But
I
like,
was just going to say, and get somebody to edit it for you, because that makes a difference. It looks professional when it
yeah,
is edited.
That seems to be the general consensus is get a good
Yeah,
editor.
yeah,
yeah. Not necessarily a family member unless they are specifically an editor.
Right.
yeah,
Somebody that knows what they're doing.
yeah,
Yeah. Because yeah, same thing with proofreading. You can't proofread your own work. I even as a
yeah.
business, occasionally writing something for business, I know I can't, or school, I can't proofread my own work. That's why
Yeah.
I love having word processing software that has self checks. I've got Grammarly
Yeah. Me
and
too.
all that
I
stuff.
love
Yeah.
Grammarly's
Grammarly.
awesome. It's
Mm.
always telling me I've messed up somewhere.
Right? Me too. And like it doesn't replace an editor before you release your book, but it really makes it easier. Like if you use Grammarly first, I am the worst for constantly past tensing things
Mm,
when I don't need to.
right.
Because I'm writing nonfiction um a lot. That's what I've published the most. So I'm telling a story that's happened in the past, which is
Mhm.
fine. But I'll say like something like, so if I were to, instead of just saying I was,
Right.
right? And Grammarly catches all of those for me because I write like I talk.
Mhm.
And that's my style. And so people who read my books, they know it's like you're gonna sit down with a close friend and I'm gonna tell you a story.
Yeah. And the other thing that I did learn, which I find very interesting, my first editor with the publishing house, she had said to me, if you can see it like a movie in your head, you're already ahead of the curve. So,
Yes.
if you can see it as the movie and then just try to write it in that regard, that will make your life easier.
That's a great point. Yeah. Visualize it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Although I've read some books that read like they had been written to be a movie and not
Mm-hmm.
be a good movie.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yep. Yep. I mean, some movies are made that shouldn't have been made either. So
I don't know.
maybe best left as books.
I have a thing for bad movies though. I love bad movies. Like really
Some of
bad
them.
movies. Not kind of bad movies. Because kind of bad
Okay,
movies are unwatchable.
there was this one that was like so bad that I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
It was Subterranean, I think.
Okay.
It was I was a teenager, so I'm going back quite a few years. I had it on VHS, all right? But if you're looking for a really bad but enjoyable movie, I'm fairly certain it was called Subterranean, and um it's about these people. They're in, I think, like a parking garage or something, and there's these little toys that come over, like little mechanical toys that come over and try and kill them, but not like in a Chucky style.
Okay.
In like just a really weird, like, oh look, it's a ball, and now it's shooting razor blades at me.
Okay.
Just it was so bad. I loved it. And my mom's like, "Why are we still watching this?" I'm like, "This is great. This is amazing because it's amazingly bad,
Yeah.
but it's amazing."
It sounds like a teenage movie, like something a teenager would love.
Yeah, I still love those movies. I like I mean one of my favorite movies of all
My
times
dog
is
is barking like a jerk downstairs.
that's funny, I can't hear it. I can't hear him.
No, because I'm upstairs
Yeah.
now, so it's great.
Yeah. But anyway, like one of my favorite movies is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh
Okay.
Yes.
yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
a great bad movie.
Yes.
I mean, you can see the mattresses they laid down for the stunt work. You can see the strings holding the little flying saucers up in the air, and the script is horrible. The acting is worse.
Awesome.
Now then, I don't think I've seen that
Okay,
one. There was another one with similar title.
okay, okay. But yeah, anything by Ed Wood. Well, anything before he started doing porn, because he was so bad. He was
Oh.
so bad that he got basically laughed out of Hollywood, and so he went to the Valley and started making porn. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the movie didn't go into that.
Probably a good thing.
Probably, but yeah. Oh, the original Evil Dead series.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
Bruce Campbell.
Those are so awesome.
Um,
The first play, the first musical I ever took my husband to was the spoof of
okay,
it, the Evil Dead the musical.
nice.
It is the most hilarious, amazing musical I've ever seen.
Okay.
It sells out so fast now. And then my husband found out that it was actually horror movies, and he hates horror movies.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You mean there's no talking moose?" I'm like, "No, honey, there's no talking moose."
Well, it is amazing. All these movies that you say are terrible, they're now cult.
Right, they're cult
right?
classics.
So,
Cult classics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll occasionally turn the TV over to watch MST3K or Riff Tracks. Just because
Okay.
they're both MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and Riff Tracks are both TV series that are dedicated to comedians making fun of bad movies.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
they're totally
It's
awesome.
got to be hysterical.
Yeah, what was it? The last thing I watched on Riff Tracks was Night of the Living Dead, the original.
Oh,
And
yes.
that movie's pretty bad.
Yep.
I mean, it's not the worst bad movie, but it's pretty bad.
Oh, okay. So the movie I was talking about is called Subterrano from 2003.
Okay.
I had to look it up because it was gonna bug me. Subterrano.
Okay.
Yeah. It got 3.9 out of 10 on the IMDb thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazingly horrible. I love it.
Yeah. There's a few like that. There's one about and horror movies the horror genre tends to lend itself very well to making bad movies.
Yeah, but those ones usually become the cult
Right,
classics for sure.
Like the one about the bed that ate people.
Oh, I don't think.
I'm not sure which one.
I can't remember the name of I can't remember the name of that one.
Oh, that sounds amazing though. Horror is my absolute favorite stuff to watch, to read, everything. Like, it's my favorite genre. So I'm surprised I haven't heard of it.
Okay. That might be one worth looking up. Let me see if I can find it. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So let's see. So back to oh, James Caan died.
Oh, did he? Okay.
People. Yeah, yeah. I just pulled up whatever this one is. Yeah, and it just popped up that he died. That's sad.
Oh.
How old?
Deathbed, the bed that eats.
Oh.
Uh,
It's
the
literally
bed.
called Deathbed.
It is.
That's amazing.
With a subtitle, The Bed That Eats.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I am writing this down.
1977.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that'd be
it was
great.
a good year for horror movies.
Yeah. Well, everything from back in like the 70s, 80s, those horror movies were the best. I remember when I was around like 13 to 15, and I stayed at my aunt's house all the time. And we'd go to the little movie rental store around the corner. Not that those exist anymore, but we went there and we would just watch all the really, really old horror movies. So, like, we did all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, all the Friday the 13th, Hellraisers, like all that stuff. Oh, Amityville Horror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was like one of the first major ones that really put horror on the map.
Oh yeah, so good.
He was 82.
Mm.
Oh, it's not too bad.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah. The older I get now, the more I'm like, oh, that's not old enough though. It's amazing how that works, right? When you're little, you're like, oh, you're 30, you're so old. And now I'm 30, I'm like, oh, 82. I mean, it's good, but
Could do better.
let's shoot for 90.
Yeah, you get used to it. Oh, 40? It's not so bad, right? 50?
Yeah.
You keep going.
Yeah.
Like I said, 50 is the new 30,
Yeah.
so you're good.
Well, my grandmother was 93 when she passed away a few years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
My mom's dad was also 93 when he passed. 93 in a day, in fact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you have good genes there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, my grandma was only 69 when she died.
Well,
I'm like, that's too young.
yeah. Well, what is it?
You
The
barely
average
retire. Actually, she didn't.
the average life is what, 70 something now, or
I think it's up to 76.
76?
But I could be wrong. Yeah.
It just doesn't seem long enough.
I don't know.
My grandpa just turned 83, I think,
Okay.
on Canada Day.
On Canada Day.
Yes, it's his birthday. That's how it's easy for me to remember because it's Canada Day.
My brother, when he his first marriage, they got married on January 1st, so that he'd never have to so that he'd never be able to forget.
Oh dear.
Awesome. I love it. I always forget my anniversary. Because when we booked it for the last Wednesday of June. That's how I booked it. I didn't book a date when we got married in Vegas, out in the desert. And when I was talking to the company that was doing it, I said the last Wednesday of June. They're like, so the 27th, which is what it ended up being, the 27th. I go, sure, yeah, that's the last Wednesday. Like, that's how I was booking it, because we couldn't remember what day it was we had started dating. Because apparently we were dating before I knew we were dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
So we just picked a random day. So we picked the first Saturday in June was the day we started dating. So that's before we got married. That's how we would celebrate our anniversary, the first Saturday in June. Didn't matter what day it was. It changed every year, right? The number, but. So I was like, okay, it's last Wednesday of June. But then I didn't realize at the time that his sister's birthday was the day before. His parents' anniversary is the day after. So now I actually have to remember it's the 27th. And the first like 2-3 years, I couldn't remember. I'm like, it's the last Wednesday. And my husband is the one that remembered.
My ex could never remember our wedding anniversary.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a reason. It's
Yeah,
next.
Yeah, I think so.
Usually.
Usually. Well, we're almost to our 2-hour time frame here, and I know it's late for you both.
Yep.
The time went by so fast. It's been wonderful.
I know it
Right?
has been.
Yeah.
You've been wonderful guests.
Thanks.
Well,
It's always
you've been
fun to
wonderful.
chat with you.
So, so I want to ask: do you find ladies have anything to say to the nice people? Any last things to say?
Buy our books.
Yeah.
Really good.
I couldn't have said it better.
Okay, say the titles of your books again, so that people have.
You want to go first, Randy?
Okay.
She's got 12, 18.
Yeah, it'll take me a while. No, but the one that we were talking about earlier is called Embracing Me.
Embracing Me.
And then we also talked about Be Selfish.
And Be Selfish. Embracing Me and Be Selfish. And otherwise, you can just look up Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. And
they're all on Amazon.
They're all on Amazon. That's where all the books are now.
Yeah,
pretty much. Seems that way anyway. Okay, and Mary.
Yes. I would love to tell your audience, please visit my author website, www.marykasavarese.com. And I have a lot of wonderful things happening on my author website. And my latest book, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, part of a trilogy, it's out. It's Amazon, independent bookstores, Barnes and Noble. And if you're looking for a fantasy adventure intertwined with romance, I think you will be very happy in reading The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And if you're looking for a mystery romance with a supernatural twist, then you might like Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew?
I love that title.
I know, it's a great title.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, before we say goodbye for the evening, I have a question I ask of all of my guests. Consider a hot dog in a bun. Is it a sandwich?
Hold on. You go
okay.
first, Mary.
Well, a hot dog in a bun, do I consider it a sandwich? No. It is a hot dog, which is a unique food by itself. The hot dog, the bun, the sauerkraut, whatever you put on it in the world, right? People eat it differently, but I do not consider it a sandwich.
Okay.
A delicacy. Some people call it a tube steak, but people make it into a delicacy depending on the additional ingredients they put it on. It's
That's
amazing.
True. You are the first one to mention sauerkraut, Mary.
Oh, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. That's
yeah.
We grew up with those hot dog stands, and it was just sauerkraut with mustard. That's the only way we ate it. And then, maybe you have a little onion in a red sauce.
Okay.
So I've looked up the definition of sandwich. So, yes, I very much like words to be used the way that they are defined. So, so you said a hot dog in a hot dog bun? Okay, so then no, it is not a sandwich, because a sandwich is item of food consisting of 2 pieces of bread.
Ah.
So there you go.
Then how do you
and created by the Earl of Sandwich.
Then how do you explain the open-faced sandwich?
It's not a real sandwich.
That's why they have to put. It's called a canapé, right? The open-faced sandwich.
Yeah. So, and that's why they say open-faced, because they can't just call it a sandwich. It's not actually a sandwich.
Well, even if you call it open face, then it's not a sandwich.
It's a half a sandwich. It's a half a
The
sandwich.
bottom half.
Yes. Or the top half upside down.
There you go. But that is the true definition of sandwich. Therefore, no, a hot dog is not a sandwich. Now, because I've been gluten-free for so long, I have eaten hot dog sandwiches because I've stuck it between two slices of bread.
It's true. You can make it into a sandwich.
You can.
But technically, a bun is not a sandwich.
Bun is not a sandwich.
Bun is not a sandwich.
Okay. The nose, I think, are catching up.
There you go.
Well, thank you both for being on the show. And
thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. It was absolutely wonderful. So great to see you, Randy. I'm going to be in touch.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in touch.
Okay, as I've never figured out how to actually dismiss my guests from the show, I'm going to tell you to go away now. No, I'm going to run the end credits, and they won't be able to hear you anymore. So.
All right.
All right. Bye. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. My mother is the producer, and I'd like to thank her for her production work. I'm your humble host, as always. I'd like to thank my special guests, Mary Kay Savarese and Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, to be more specific. If you feel so led, head over to Patreon and support the show at Bald Spots Pro. If you like what you heard, then definitely do that so I can bring you more. Don't miss YWL Online on Tuesdays and Saturdays. You can find us over on YWL Online on Facebook. Tune in next week for Stacy Chilemi and Justin Williams. We'll have an interesting show, hopefully again. Please like, comment, and share to stay informed and get that algorithm kicked into gear, and so we can reach more people. And thanks again, and have yourselves a wonderful evening, or whenever you happen to be listening. Bye.